I'm 96 years old. And if someone had told me 20 years ago that at this age I would still be getting up without assistance, cooking my own meals, and taking walks in the park, I would have just laughed. But here I am, sitting on the porch, looking at the blooming flowers by the gate, while my legs feel as solid as steel supports. They carry me with confidence, just like in the 60s. There's no secret here. Just 3 products that I started taking in my 80s, and with each passing year they have only proven to be more effective. Simple, accessible. Not pills or trendy supplements, but food that really works. I'll tell you all about them. Before I get started, I'd like to know where you're watching from. Please leave a comment with your city and your age. It all started subtly. At first, I began to feel fatigued just walking around the house from the kitchen to the bedroom. Then he couldn't stand for long. His legs trembled like a baby bird's. Later on, morning cramps started, his knees began to creak, and it felt like he was trudging through mud. I remember one morning when I almost fell trying to reach for a towel in the bathroom. I, a person who used to run up and down stairs and carry sacks of potatoes in my youth, have come to fear stairs. It's terrifying when your legs betray you. You are no longer in control of your own body. You go to the store, but your mind isn't focused on your shopping list. It's preoccupied with not stumbling at the corner. Aging strikes right here in the legs. As long as they are strong, you live. And when they give up, you start to slowly fade away. My doctor once said something that stuck with me. Leg muscles are not just about movement. It's about survival. And he was right. Strong legs are not about youth. They represent independence. That's why I started looking for something that could support my legs. No chemicals, no side effects. I was looking for simple remedies that nourish, strengthen, and protect us straight from nature. And I found them. These 3 products have become my shield. I've never chased after trendy supplements. When I started having problems with my legs, many people recommended vitamins from infomercials, complex formulas, with names I could barely pronounce. But I knew that if anything could truly help the body, it was what the body itself would recognize. Food, simple and authentic, that's where the real power lies. Not in capsules filled with empty promises, but in the foods that have nourished people for centuries, helping them survive in far harsher conditions than we face today. I wasn't looking for a miracle. I was searching for a solid foundation. After months of trials, errors, and discussions with knowledgeable, experienced people, I identified 3 key products for myself. Each of them addressed a specific need. One nourished joints and bones. The second alleviated inflammation and pain. And the third provided strength to the muscles. Most importantly, they didn't interfere with each other. On the contrary, they worked together, enhancing the effect. When I started taking them regularly, without going overboard but with discipline, within a month I felt like my legs were truly mine again. The pain was gone. I stopped being afraid of stairs. I started getting out of bed without any help. That quiet confidence returned. I can handle this on my own. These 3 products right here, my personal guardians. I'll tell you about each of them in detail. I have an old friend named George who just turned 95. We've known each other for almost 40 years, and throughout that time, he has been a sturdy, lean man with a straight back and a quiet voice. However, a few years ago, he started complaining about his knees. At first, He just sat for a long time before getting up. Then he started to limp, and one day he told me bitterly, "You know, I don't go out to the garden anymore. My legs just won't cooperate." By then, I had already started taking broth myself and advised him, "Give it a try. You have nothing to lose." 3 weeks later, he called me back and said, "It seems like my knees have been oiled." Yesterday, I trimmed the roses myself, standing on my feet all evening. It was a different voice, alive, confident. Bone broth isn't just soup. It's an extraction of the very essence. This is ancient wisdom simmering in a pot. In its deep, murky brew lie treasures that our ancestors instinctively valued, even without knowing their names. It's made from bones, joints, and cartilage, those parts that are usually discarded, unaware of the hidden strength they possess. And within is collagen, which gives tissues their elasticity. Glycine, which aids in recovery. Glucosamine, which nourishes the cartilage. Calcium, which strengthens bones. Every drop of this broth acts like a building block for joints and ligaments. As we age, our bodies lose the ability to produce these substances on their own. We can feel it. Our joints become dry, as if the lubrication between the bones is disappearing. You start to hear your body creak, and broth doesn't really mask the symptoms. He restores. He works deeply, like a caring hand that cleans an old part and brings back its mobility. He doesn't act like a pill, quick and sharp. He acts like rain on parched earth, gentle yet relentless. If taken regularly, your joints start to feel new again. You don't wake up miraculously healthy, but one day you notice. Your knees no longer remind you of their presence with every step, and getting out of bed in the morning doesn't come with a groan of pain. Of course, the best way to make broth is at home. I use beef or chicken bones, making sure to include joints and cartilage. I add a bit of apple cider vinegar to extract the nutrients from the bones. I let it simmer slowly for no less than 8 hours. The house is filled with a cozy smell, reminiscent of childhood. It results in a thick, slightly cloudy broth, with the yellowish fat settling around the edges. That's where the essence lies. Just like a joint cream, it works from the inside out. But to be honest, I don't always have the energy. Sometimes I just grab a high-quality powdered version. I dissolve a spoonful of salt in a cup of boiling water, add a pinch of sea salt, a drop of oil, and a bit of black pepper for flavor and health benefits. I drink it every evening as a ritual. It's not just nourishment. It's also soothing, warming, and a reminder that I'm taking care of myself. After 3 weeks of consistent intake, I find the same result every time. My legs feel more flexible, my knees softer, and my movements more confident. It's as if youth is flowing through them again. Not the hurried, youthful kind, but a calm, mature, and stable one. The next product that helped me is turmeric. Let me share a little story. Ellen lives across the street from me. She's 97 and she still tends to the flowers in her garden, even though it used to be painful for her to get out of bed in the mornings. I remember one spring day when I saw her on the sidewalk. She was barely able to move her legs. She was walking slowly with a cane, and her face wore a familiar expression of pain, as if each step was a struggle. "In the mornings, my knees feel like rusty hinges," she said back then. "Until I get moving, I just want to cry." I told her about turmeric, not just as a trendy spice, but as a medicine that Indian elders have been using for centuries to treat joint pain. I gave her a bottle of capsules and advised her, only take it with food and black pepper. That's how it works best. Last month we bumped into each other again by the mailbox, and she said, I don't know what the secret is behind this golden powder, but my knees aren't creaking in the morning. They're singing. And then, for the first time in a long while, she went for a walk without her cane. Turmeric contains a substance called curcumin. It's the compound that gives the spice its vibrant color and powerful effects. Curcumin is one of the most potent natural anti-inflammatory agents. It works like an over-the-counter painkiller, but without the side effects. The issue is that it's not well absorbed on its own, but when taken with black pepper, which contains piperine, its absorption increases significantly. When chronic inflammation in the body decreases, the joint stops swelling, pain diminishes, and you start moving more easily. Not immediately, not in one day, but every morning it gets a little easier. I take 1,004 hours of turmeric in capsules every morning and evening, always after meals. If I don't have capsules, I make golden milk, half a teaspoon of turmeric, a pinch of pepper, a little honey, and warm milk or water. Sometimes I add it to soup or porridge. The key is to have at least a drop of oil, because turmeric needs fat to activate its benefits. After 2 weeks, I can already feel the difference. I wake up in the morning not with effort, but with a desire to move. It's not a miracle. It's just nature at work. Another product that I couldn't live without is protein powder. Mary has always been adventurous. Living alone in her cozy little house with white shutters and a flower bed of daisies at the porch, she never allowed herself to be lazy. At 92 years old, she still took the bus to the grocery store, not because she couldn't order delivery, but because she wanted to pick out her own apples and smell the fresh herbs. She went to the library once a week, strictly on Fridays, just like going to church, and she cared for her old fluffy cat so tenderly, as if it were her child. I admired her. She lived gracefully, with dignity, despite her age. But a year ago, everything changed. After a brief illness, whether it was a cold or just exhaustion, nobody really understood. She seemed to have settled down. She began to sit more often. Then she started to lean against the walls. And then she said something that made my heart sink. My legs can't hold me. I get up, and it feels like my whole body is sinking. It's as if the ground is disappearing beneath me. The walks came to an end. The stairs that she used to conquer dozens of times a day have become an enemy. She started sleeping on the first floor, on an old couch that creaked under her fragile body. And in her eyes something new appeared. Not pain, but fear. Fear of falling. Fear of not being able to get up. I thought at that moment, it's not the joints. These are the muscles. We don't notice how we gradually lose strength over the years, bit by bit. And then one day, you want to get up, but your legs won't cooperate. You're still you, but your body no longer trusts you. I brought her a can of soft protein specifically formulated for seniors. It's sugar-free, enriched with vitamins, easily digestible, and gentle on the kidneys. I simply told her, don't wait for a miracle. Just nourish your body. Add a spoonful to your porridge or make a warm smoothie. This isn't medicine. It's support. She nodded reluctantly. There was skepticism in her gaze, but also a glimmer of hope. And she started, every day, without fail, like a little ritual, last month. I was coming back from the store when I suddenly saw her. Mary was walking down the sidewalk, straight and without a cane, in her beige jacket buttoned up to her chin, with a slightly furrowed brow, just like always when she was focused. She wasn't just walking, she was walking with grace. I stopped. She noticed me and smiled, a genuine, deep smile, like a child who has just felt strength return to their legs. "I'm going back upstairs," she said. "And my legs are holding up. They're not shaking. I feel like I'm firmly grounded." It wasn't just a smile. It was the joy of coming back. As if a person who had stepped away from life for a while had returned and taken their first confident step again. After the age of 70, we lose up to 12% of our muscle mass each year. This is known as sarcopenia, and it is one of the main causes of falls, fractures, and loss of independence. Muscles are not just about strength. They are essential for balance, coordination, the ability to stand up, sit down, and maintain stability. Muscles need protein. However, as we age, our bodies become less efficient at absorbing it, and foods like meat or eggs might not provide enough. That's why protein powder acts as a supplement. It's convenient, quick, and precise, especially if it's formulated with the needs of older adults in mind, sugar-free, with added vitamins, and smooth and tasty. I drink one serving a day, which is about 20-25 grams of protein. Sometimes I add it to my morning oatmeal. Sometimes I just mix it in warm almond milk with a banana. On days when I work out or am more active, I take it after exercising to support my muscles. The key is consistency. Don't wait until you're completely worn out. Instead, maintain your strength every day. After 23 weeks, I can feel it's easier to get up from the chair, my legs tremble less, and there's a newfound sense of stability, as if my body is starting to believe in itself again. I used to think that aging was like falling into a pit, slowly descending with no way to change the slope. But I was wrong. It turns out there are ways to slow down this decline. Moreover, in some areas, it's even possible to make a bit of a comeback, climbing a few rungs back up. When I started taking bone broth, turmeric, and protein powder separately, I noticed some effects, but they weren't instantaneous. I felt improvements that were subtle, like a gentle breeze. I got out of bed a little easier in the morning, and my joints ached a bit less in the evening. But when I began taking them together every day without missing a dose, it was as if I had activated an internal builder within me that started repairing my body from the inside out. The broth took care of my joints, making them more mobile and flexible. Turmeric reduced inflammation, as if it were calming the internal fire that had been burning my knees and feet. And the protein from the supplement was building muscle, brick by brick, subtly but surely. About 4 weeks later, I suddenly realized I hadn't grabbed the armrest when getting up from the chair for 3 days. I've started spending more time at the stove, not feeling like my legs need a break. And most importantly, I've begun to move with joy again, rather than out of obligation. When all of this started working together, I felt that these ingredients were like 3 experts in one team. One fixes, another relieves tension, and the third strengthens. That's where their true power lies, not individually, but in synergy, in how they support each other. I may not have become younger, but I've started to feel at home in my own body again. And that means a lot, really a lot. Sometimes I think everything that truly helps often seems too simple. When I turned 70, I was waiting for a magic pill that would bring back my youth. By the time I reached 80, I began to realize that my body wasn't asking for miracles. It was asking for care. When I hit 90, I chose a path that isn't about rushing, but is focused on resilience. And I can confidently say that in 96, my legs don't run like they used to. But they still hold up. And for me, that's a victory. I'm grateful for these 3 products. Broth for flexibility, turmeric for morning ease and joint comfort, protein for strength that I didn't expect to feel again. But do you know what I'm most grateful for? For every day that I get up without pain and don't fear losing my balance, I feel free once again. Free to decide where to go, who to meet, and what to make for lunch. It seems like a small thing until you lose it. Old age is not an enemy. She just craves attention. She's like an old violin. If you take care of her, oil the parts, and lovingly tighten the strings, she will play many more melodies. I shared what helped me, but I'm not a doctor. I'm just a person who has traveled the path from weakness to resilience. So before making any changes to your diet or adding supplements, be sure to consult with your doctor. Now I want to ask you, what foods, habits, or little discoveries have helped your legs feel strong again? Please share your experiences. It could be a lifesaver for someone else.